Now, as you can see, this is massive news when it comes to boxing in the 135-pound division. Shakur Stevenson has accepted, the challenge of Floyd Schofield. Now, I think no matter which way this fight goes, big salute to Shakur and Floyd Schofield for making this fight happen when it didn't have to necessarily, especially with Zepeda being out of the picture. However, this makes me ask the question, right? It's either one or two things. Is it really that, Zepeda was the one holding up the fight, even though calling out Shakur and not Oscar? Because look how easily this fight was facilitated and how quick this happened with Floyd Schofield and Shakur still being golden boy in Matchroom. Or is it that Oscar De La Hoya really don't give a about Kid Austin at all and he's willing to sacrifice him to Shakur? It's one of the two things, man. What you think it is?
If I tell you I'm good, probably you will say I'm boasting. But if I tell you I'm no good, you know one line.
Yo, what's good, Boxing Talk family? It's your boy, Dr. PGNG. Praise God to get money back for another YouTube video. Banger, man. Yes, sir. Yes, man. I don't know what time it is. The doctor's in the house, man. So check this out. So it seems like Shakur Stevenson has accepted the challenge by Floyd Schofield. His father has been going crazy with challenging, anybody that would listen, particularly Gervonta Tank Davis and Shakur Stevenson, man. And Shakur Stevenson has taken the bait because the Zepeda fight fell through again. So to me this seems like a duck at this point, but Oscar De La Hoya during his clapback Thursdays has said, fighters don't want to be great. So he's kind of alluding to that, despite Zepeda calling out Shakur, he's the one that's holding it up, as opposed to what the popular thought is that is Oscar De La Hoya that was keeping the fight from happening between Shakur and Zepeda, because he let this fight happen. They're both his fighters, and he let Floyd Schofield get what he wants to fight Shakur Stevenson. Now, like I said, doesn't necessarily mean that. It can mean one or two things. Either Oscar De La Hoya, like I said, he just doesn't really care if Floyd loses. Maybe he's not that invested into Floyd Schofield, which I don't think is the case. I think he likes him. He just had him headline a card for him, right, against Renee Tellez-Garon. But it doesn't mean that he's fully invested in Kid Austin, so he's willing to say, hey, man, take the chance. If you win, great. But if you lose, I ain't really tripping too much. Or it could also mean that, it's not Oscar De La Hoya that's holding up the fight between him and Matchroom. It's really Zepeda. Zepeda doesn't really want to fight, which a lot of people are like saying, it's not Zepeda, it's Oscar De La Hoya. It's not Zepeda that doesn't want to fight. He wants to fight because he's been calling him out. But we know Turkey wants it. We know Eddie Hearn wants it. We know Shakur wanted it. We just didn't know if it was Zepeda or Oscar. And I think this would kind of lean towards the fact that Oscar is willing to let the fighters get what they want, like he said. But I don't know, man. Still a little bit shaky, baby. I'm talking about still a little shaky. It could be one of the two things. Either Oscar doesn't care about Floyd Schofield and let him go fight Shakur, or and he's heavily invested in Zepeda, which is why he's keeping him away from Shakur. Or it's the fact that Zepeda didn't really want it, like he's putting on. I'll let y'all decide. I don't really know. It's just speculation, but it's definitely one of those two for sure. One of those two options in regard to Oscar De La Hoya. Now let's get back to the fight. Shakur Stevenson and Kid Austin, man. I love this fight. However, I do think it's a little premature for Kid Austin, because Kid Austin, he doesn't have that many fights, man. He's still a young bull. He's ranked high, and hey, sink or swim. You go ahead and put forth your best performance, and we won't know how great you are until you have the opportunity to show that. And so now he's getting what he's been asking, and I agree with him. This would be a great time for him to show out. And if he loses, really him being young in his career, basically just getting on the scene, it won't be too bad. He can always bounce back. However, I want to say this though. We have to salute Shakur Stevenson and Kid Austin for fighting. It's a fight that's similar to David Morrell and David Benavidez, right? Not saying that they're the same caliber of fighters or whatever on one way or the other. My point is that they don't have to fight right now, you know what I'm saying? So the fact that they're fighting, they're giving us, the fans, what we want to see. So we got to salute them. And if David Benavidez beat David Morrell, I don't want people to say that David Morrell was too green, you know what I'm saying? Because he doesn't have that many fights. But David Morrell is a great fighter, and David Morrell has a chance to win. Therefore, if David Benavidez beats David Morrell, we got to give David Benavidez full credit, just like we got to give David Morrell full credit if he beats David Benavidez. Likewise, if Kid Austin beats Shakur, we're going to give him all the credit. We know that, right? He's not expected to win. But if Shakur beats Kid Austin, we have to give him his proper credit too. too, because Kid Austin, according to him, and their sparring sessions, you know, because people conveniently care about sparring, you know, it's exaggerated, the importance and the significance depends on what side of the fence you're on and what fighter you're talking about. Sometimes people don't care about sparring, they say, oh, it's just sparring, but then sometimes when it's their favorite fighter doing well in sparring, then all of a sudden sparring matters, you know, it's the most significant thing on earth, you know. So according to Kid Austin, you know, he did very well in sparring, you know, against not just Shakur but also Tank and Devin Haney. So, you know, this is his time to put up or shut up. So, but if that case is true, that he did well against Shakur and Shakur beats him, we have to give Shakur his proper credit that he deserves, man, because Kid Austin is a formidable fighter. That's why he's so high up in the rankings, even though he's relatively inexperienced, which is why I think that this is a little premature for him to be fighting him right now. But at the same time, I love it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like torn between the two. I like it and I like it and I love it, and I kind of think it's premature, and that sometimes, you know, I kind of dislike it a little bit. So I'm indifferent, but I know that this fight is going to be great because Kid Austin is going to press the issue, and Shakur's got to demonstrate those boxing skills. You know what I'm saying? So if this fight is still a big if, right? If it's true, you know, because the promoters and everybody's team has to get together and agree for the February 22nd date in Riyadh. We know that Shakur wants to fight on that card. You know, Big Turk is basically reserved that date for him. We just don't know who his opponent is because Zepeda was injured after the Tevin Farmer fight. So if Floyd Kid also could step in, then, you know, it seems like a seamless transition because the promotional companies are the same. It's still Golden Boy, it's still Matchroom, still Oscar, still Eddie Hearn, it's still Shakur. It's just we don't know if it's gonna be Kid Austin or Zepeda, but we know it's not going to be Zepeda. We know it's not going to be Zepeda, but we're wondering if it's going to be Kid Austin. So it doesn't seem like that much of a difference when it comes to paperwork and the logistics and situating, you know, the little smaller details. It seems like it's pretty much the same. It's just who's it going to be, you know, and it seems like it's going to be Kid Austin. According to Kid Austin on Twitter, it's going to be him. And he said it's really him, you know. It's not his dad.
What?
It's really him, you know. It's really him, y'all. It's not his daddy, you know, which I thought was hilarious. He said, "Man, this is me. It's not my dad." I thought that was funny, man. Shout out to the young man. You know, I know people like to talk trash about his dad being controlling, but you just never know, man. You know, I'm not even trying to defend him, but I'm just telling the truth. You know, Kid Austin doesn't really have that polarizing of a character. You know, he doesn't really have that let me say, he's not that charismatic, right? He's not that captivating as a persona, but his father is. So I think from a promotional standpoint, we know somebody has to do it, right? It's not going to be B-Hop, it's not going to be Oscar. So his father stepped in, and he's the one that brings everybody in and tries to convince everybody of his son's greatness. So I think there is a lane for Floyd Kid Austin Schofield Sr. to be a positive addition to his son. But at the same time, the caveat is that he's going to bring a lot of negative attention as well. But that's part of the game, man. Whether you're rooting for somebody to win or you're rooting for somebody to lose, if you're watching, you're watching. That's what Floyd said, man. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're watching to see me win, watching to see me lose, you're watching. So that's a win. So shout out to them, man. I think they do it straight. I'd love to see this fight. Right now, if you ask me who's going to win, my early prediction is right now it's probably gonna be the same as my late prediction, is that I got Shakur winning. But you know, I think it's gonna be a good fight. That's what I'm rooting for, a good fight for boxing. I think that's what it is, man. So y'all let me know what y'all think about that in the comments. You know what I'm saying? Let me know what y'all think, man. Who you think is gonna win? Who do you think that this fight is coming a little too soon if you're Kid Austin? Are you a little mad that Shakur is having to fight a guy that's a contender level, considering his rankings? In regards to his rankings, he's contender, but in regards to his experience, he's definitely a prospect. You know what I'm saying? Prospect contender. So let me know what y'all think about that. Are you disappointed in this opposition, or you think it's great? I think it's great, man. You know what I'm saying? This is what people wanted. So how can you be mad at this? But don't forget to hit that like button. But most importantly, remember, with God, we can do anything. Without God, we're nothing. The doctor's out. Peace. From the hood to college, both worlds they had to meet. 6 degrees between us, so cold we're about to freeze. But we're Florida boys, hot takes, we bring the heat. We're moving the culture, the engineers to the streets.